Hi there guys, Optimizer here, and this video is all about conditioning your opponent, analysing your opponent's play and taking advantage of that. Also, I'll be giving some tips and tricks on how you can play against reactive type players. So conditioning in this game, at least for me, is when you provide your opponent with a easily recognisable pattern or reaction or move. So for example, you keep doing rolling R1s because you've done it so many times, you've conditioned your opponent to recognize that when you roll you can do an R1. So he might attempt a parry, so maybe the next rolling R1 you do is, instead of rolling R1, you do a rolling R2, that type of thing. As I said earlier, I also want to provide some tips and tricks on how you can play against a reactive type player. So a reactive type player is when you're playing against somebody who doesn't commit to an attack unless they see an opening from you. So for example, you've missed 2 R1s for whatever reason. Typically they'll come running in and do a running R1 with weapons such as the washing pole or the Carthus curved sword, basically anything with a fast running R1. Or if they're not doing that and they're close enough, they'll hit you with 2 R1s after you missed a couple of attacks, and they'll wear you down that way. And because they're playing quite evasive until they see an opening, it's quite frustrating to play against. Makes the match kind of boring, at least for me. It's not very interesting. Just to make it clear, I'm not shitting on that playstyle, I'm just merely saying it is kind of boring to play against. I can see why that type of playstyle exists. It's just a safe way of playing, I suppose. And since I'm an Ultra Greatsword user, my choice of weapons kind of encourages my opponent to play a more reactive style against me, to take advantage of the slower swing speed of my weapon. So I feel that I have, quite a lot of experience playing against reactive type players, which I want to show with you guys. So just to kind of get this out of the way, everything you see after this clip, I'm level 106, and it takes place during an invasion, a random invasion. So first things first, this is a basic form of conditioning your opponent. As an example here, I'm using the two-handed R1s. And you'll notice that I'm using it so many times that I conditioned him to expect a two-handed R1. And you'll see him roll back just by me walking forward just then. So that's when I know I conditioned him. So I throw out a two-handed R2 and it connects. It's as simple as that. It's just giving your opponent an expectation and then choosing a time not to provide him with that expectation. So we decided to go in duel. I gestured to him that I wanted a duel because it's 1v1, why not? You'll notice I carry on with the two-handed R2s. And another one. I do a blocking animation and a one-handed R1 and it connects. As I said earlier, I kind of conditioned him by using the same move and it worked again on him. But this time, I swapped my moves around. And you'll notice every time I throw a block animation, I do an attack. And that's the second time I've done that now, and it's connected both times. Watch what happens. Just by me throwing out a blocking animation, he thinks I'm going to attack, so he rolls away. Another telltale sign that he's been conditioned. So I decide to mix up my attacks and switch to my short sword. And he, by that point he knows the match is lost, so he done a spin to win. So in this next duel, I'm up against a very reactive type player, and you'll see what I mean. He's a katana user, running R1. This is what I mean, he doesn't commit, these type of players don't commit to an attack unless they see an opening. You'll notice in this match I do a lot of blocking animation with the Fume, and you'll see why at the end of the video. It's part of the conditioning. Every time I do a blocking animation I don't attack, like then. And the reason I managed to hit him there was, if you remember back after the partial parry attempt, neither of us attacked each other, and when he ran up towards me again, he wasn't expecting me to attack, but I did. And you'll see why I've been doing those blocking animation. So remember, I kept blocking and not attacking. Block, block. He doesn't expect me to attack, so he tries to guard break me with a kick. I'm always constantly watching him as I approach him with my guard up. And once I see his leg stick up for the kick, I take advantage of that and end the match. This duel here is also up against a very reactive type player. This is my second duel with him in his world, and he won the first duel just. And the reason for that is I didn't change my playstyle. I kept using the Fume when the match was critical, so when we both had low health in the first match, he was very reactive and he caught me. So what I'm trying to demonstrate with this clip is that there are other ways to condition your opponent. You don't have to keep using the same move or subtle gestures like a blocking animation, for example. You can also change your entire playstyle. So he's low on health, so I kind of brought my short sword out just to say, yo, I got other tricks up my sleeve to kind of throw him off a little bit. And you notice I'm backing off a lot here. I'm backing off a lot. He's pressing me quite a bit. He's taking advantage of the fact that I have a slower weapon. So now that the duel has become critical, I whip out my short sword and I kind of go on the offensive. I completely change my playstyle from passive to aggressive. And he's being very, very reactive now. He's not even committing to any attacks. He makes a mistake and I capitalize on it. So this clip just kind of demonstrates how powerful it is to completely change your playstyle partway through a duel or a match or whatever. You conditioned him to a certain playstyle that you presented him, and then suddenly by changing that it throws him off. And he felt that he needed to change his own playstyle, so hence why he did a jumping attack, which he never done during that match. So that's kind of it for the tips and tricks. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know whether, I don't know, that was too complicated or too vague or too general. I'm always looking for feedback. And before the video ends, I'd just like to say everything that I've kind of talked about and demonstrated on here only really works for 1v1s. When you're up against multiple opponents, you can't really do or have time to do the things I demonstrated in this video, simply because you're constantly worried about whether you're going to get attacked or not from behind or whatever. And hopefully I'll be making a video on invasions, on how you can deal with multiple opponents without completely getting ganked to death within 10 seconds. And the other thing I like to say in closing is that it's good to pick a weapon with a varied moveset, like horizontal slashes, vertical slashes, thrusting attacks. It just makes 1v1 dueling that much more effective. So yeah, that's it guys, until the next time, see ya!